Hello everybody, Striker974. In today's video, we're going to be doing another episode of Striker's Life. I haven't done Striker's Life in a while. It's been a bit, but mainly due to the fact that I've been working lately, and my mind's been focused on work and not thinking about the past. But recently, I've been sitting around thinking, and I'm like, hey, this came up in my head. If I do stutter a lot in this video, or if I do sound a bit out of it, I am very tired. I was just with my friends grinding my ass off in Destiny to get some, in VOG, I believe it was. Sorry, I'm losing my memory, as you can clearly see. But in the background, you're going to see me using the SAC-3 Solitary with a red dot sight, because that's the pre-built attachment, and that's it. That's all I run, and then I'm playing Kill Confirm both games. First map's on Core, second map is on Compound, I believe. Anyway, oh my god, I'm mad tired. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into today's topic, which is going to, or not topic, sorry, commentary. Let's jump into today's story. So, when I was a young lad in Gimmelstoop, when I was a small kid, I lived with my aunt. She used to live downstairs, and the way it was me on the top third floor, my aunt and my cousin, the cousin that you guys know probably, on the second floor, and then on the first floor was my other aunt with my other cousins that I don't really keep in touch with that much anymore. I mean, I see them on occasion, but that's just about it. And that's kind of how it was. And I remember before my cousin Moon Phantom moved in on the second floor, or after, I believe, my other cousin Fade Double, or Brent, he moved in. And I remember it was some kid, they moved in, and I remember this very flawly. I don't know why. We watched Scooby-Doo, and I was a young kid, so obviously I'm going to watch Scooby-Doo, and I was just laying there, being young and having the dark on with no lights at all. It was kind of scary. I guess you could say I was quite a bit scared. I was like, okay, what's going on? I remember that feeling of terror, just like, what the hell is going on here? And then I also remember that I looked out the doorway and I kept seeing a face. It's hard to really describe what the face looked like because it's been such a long time, but I do remember seeing a face just like sitting there looking back at me. It was a very, very scary thing at that age. I never ever found out what that face was, or even if it existed, or anything like that, because I haven't been back to that apartment ever since then. It's been a long time since I've been in that apartment, or that building, for example. I'm in a completely different building now, but that is definitely a little interesting story. Another quick little story is on when my cousin Brent, this is going to be my cousin Brent chapter, I guess. We used to hang out a lot. Because my cousin James, something happened, and I'm not going to tell you what, but I'm just going to say he had to move away from the family for a while. He didn't come back recently until a couple years ago, and we're like the bestest of friends right now. Like, we keep in touch just enough, not too much, not too crazy. But my cousin Brent used to be essentially my best friend until some stuff happened, which we're not going to talk about. That's another whole topic for another video. But I remember one time we were all playing, and I think it was, I forget exactly what day it was, but I remember one time he locked me out of the house. And I went and I got a screwdriver, went and pick-locked the door, and being a kid, I felt really proud because I pick-locked the door with a screwdriver, and I'm just like, bruh, when I walked in. I actually said something really, really silly. I was acting very, very stupid, just messing around a bit. And then, I remember another time when I was at his house, I remember that he chased after me with a buzzsaw and his buddy with a hammer. Buddy didn't actually chase me, which is kind of funny. And then my mom blamed her, said that she doesn't want other kids over when I'm over there. And I'm just like, what the heck? I'm fine with people. People are cool, right? No, I don't like people. No, I'm joking. But it was a bit weird, and it was a bit strange at the time. Then, more or less, I became accumulated, and I guess you could say what happened is my cousin Brent ended up moving, and unlike my cousin James, who moved fairly close, and recently, he moved all the way to Maine, and Massachusetts, and from my current position, that's quite a bit of distance, that's quite a way to drive. So I'm not going there anytime soon, and I don't think I will go there in the future, because from what I've heard from my great-grandmother and great-grandfather and them all together and my family is that he's just as bad as he used to be. And I'm going to quickly give you an overview of how he was. He's a very, very violent kid to start off with. He was very, very sort of psychotic in a way. He had this really evil laugh. He'd laugh at things. He was also very, very, he had a lot of issues though, so I do understand where he was coming from. He had anger issues. I'm pretty sure he had a couple of stress-related issues. He had a couple things wrong with him, quite a few actually, and I kind of can't blame him, because he did have those issues, and he was a bit on the more on the insane side. His mom thought it was because he was down here in the city, and there was all these things that got in the way of him like doing stuff. And I guess they moved up to Maine, where it's cooler, and he's calmed down a bit, but not much. He's still as radical as he was before, as crazy as he's like Taz the Tasmanian Tiger, if you know who he is. He's like that, except imagine him a bit more insane and a bit more just a bit more weird. But without my cousin Brent, I can't really say I would ever get interested in video games, because I always had an interest for video games. I loved them as a child, but I would never probably get past Nintendo or play games like COD or do any of that, because he really introduced me to that. So I do have a lot to thank him for. He introduced me to COD. I forget which COD it was. I think it was COD 4, COD MW2, and he's like, hey, come check out this game. It's really cool. And I'm like, oh, okay. I checked it out, and I played it, and I instantly fell in love. And I remember one time we were over and we were playing Black Ops, a newer game, older now, but it was new at the time, and it was amazing. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I remember at first I was a bit scared of like the zombies mode, because I was a bit younger. I didn't like the idea of zombies. And then he brought up he is funny though. He was a funny person. He brought up the analogy of, oh, well, I'm afraid of clowns. And I remember one time I brought that up around him, and he's just like, nah, I'm not afraid of clowns. And I'm like, but you told me. And he's like, but I'm not. And I'm like, but you told me. And then we had a big discussion about that. But sadly, he moved away, and I don't really get to see him much, because it's a long drive to where he is at, his location from my location. Quite a bit of a drive, and it's kind of sad. But without him, I probably would not have you probably would not know me as the way you know me today. I'd be very, very different as a person, because the thing is when I see people like him, not to pick on you here, Brent, but when I see people that do stuff wrong, and I see, okay, that's how not to act. And then when I see him get all hyper, I learn how not to become and how to control myself, and I learn all sorts of stuff like that, where I feel that that's a skill that I just learned over time from living with my crazy family. But he did leave, and he does live up there now. His sister, I believe, had a baby, because she's really old while he's very young. And it's, I guess you could say, for better or for worse, he did help me get into a lot of things like video games. He also helped me get into the aspect of adulthood, I guess you could say, where I started taking things more seriously, because I saw how he took things a bit seriously, and I thought, okay, he's taking things seriously, I should take it seriously. And I started to take a lot of interest in stuff, and I learned a bunch of stuff. For better or for worse is up to debate, but I did learn a bunch of things. I learned about a bunch of new things, and without him, I probably wouldn't be the person you met today. So definitely changed me a little bit. Definitely changed the impact on. It had a rather big impact on my life. Definitely very, very interesting, very cool. That's all for today's video. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe for more Strikers Life. Alright, this is gonna be the new intro. But if you did enjoy, comment down below. Do you have anyone in your life that heavily impacted you and or changed the way you thought? It could be a mom or dad. If you do have someone, if you could list the reason, that'd be nice as well. And besides that, there's nothing really else to talk about. I've really covered that story for today. So, without further ado, bye.
Kill confirmed. Our UAV is online. Orbital care package on standby. Kill confirmed. Kill denied. Friendly UAV above.